The zone is full of mysteries and secrets, the starting point of many unanswered questions for the players to think and theorize about. One such conundrum is the identity of Fang's killer, a puzzle that stumbled lore enthusiasts for the past 15 years. Well, perhaps not anymore. Hello stalkers and welcome to the Anomalous Dugout. In this video I will present a new theory about the assassination of Fang, which connects so many dots it seems to be the best explanation we've seen so far. This theory is not mine, but actually the work of Tejas S.T.A.L.K.E.R, a true legend who has been active on the S.T.A.L.K.E.R official community Discord server as of late. Tejas, thank you for sharing your ideas. Before we dive into the theory, it is important to remember the context behind this mystery from the original trilogy. Fang was one of the members of S.T.A.L.K.E.'s group, who died in very specific circumstances described by Ghost, another friend of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I quote, "S.T.A.L.K.E.R, I have some shitty news. Fang died. They were waiting for us in the village by the warehouses, and I think they were waiting a long time. 3 of them. Seems like your average neutrals. Fang sensed them somehow. You know full well he has a good sense. We ran 2 of them down, clearly bandits, but the 3rd turned out smarter than his buddies. He was sitting with Vintar about 100 meters away. Anyway, there's no more Fang. So next time we'll go to the center together, just the 2 of us. And here's another thing, those 2 had our descriptions. I can't figure out who would want us killed, although actually there are quite a few who have something against us. I let the 3rd one get away. I think it was one of the mercs. Had a big scar on his face, hazel eyes. I'll try to find him. So that's the deal, keep an eye out and good luck. Ghost." So to recap, Ghost and Fang went to the village next to the military warehouses to regroup with S.T.A.L.K.E.R before starting their second trip to the center of the zone. However, things did not go as planned. S.T.A.L.K.E.R could not get there and had to run to the center alone. The others were ambushed by 3 stalkers who looked like neutrals. 2 of them were killed, who turned out to be bandits, but the 3rd sniped Fang from afar with his Vintar PC rifle before escaping. According to Ghost, the killer was a mercenary, with a scar on the face and hazel eyes. In Call of Pripyat, S.T.A.L.K.E.R himself confirmed that Fang was killed by mercs. His grave could be found at the village where the ambush occurred. Most likely it was Ghost who made this final resting place for his friend. There is also a stash called Fang's Goodies, located in another grave in Pripyat, which creates confusion on the whole matter. Some people think Fang may have actually survived the attack, carried on, and later died in Pripyat, but I really doubt this is the case. Ghost would have known about it. Rather, the most probable explanation is that S.T.A.L.K.E.R created this stash using some of Fang's items from their Pripyat hideout at the hotel when he visited the place on his journey to the CNPP. This would be a way for him to say goodbye to his mate, since he wasn't there with him when he died and was buried. This idea also fits the timeline very well, an important topic when it comes to this mystery. Indeed, the first question we need to answer in order to understand the following theory is: when did the murder take place? In Clear Sky, the player visits the military warehouses, but Fang and Ghost are nowhere to be found. Besides, Fang's grave does not exist at this time. This indicates that the event has not yet happened. Furthermore, the text messages exchanged between Ghost and S.T.A.L.K.E.R about Fang's death were written while S.T.A.L.K.E.R was on his way to the zone center, since he explained to Ghost that he had to go there alone. We also know that S.T.A.L.K.E.R will end up being brainwashed upon reaching the CNPP. Therefore, we can conclude that Fang's death must have occurred after S.T.A.L.K.E.R visited the warehouses, but before S.T.A.L.K.E.R arrived at the power plant. Most likely it happened while both S.T.A.L.K.E.R and S.T.A.L.K.E.R were pushing towards the center. By the way, have you noticed that despite fighting their way through Limansk and the hospital, S.T.A.L.K.E.R arrived before S.T.A.L.K.E.R at the CNPP? In my opinion, this is because S.T.A.L.K.E.R had to make a detour to Pripyat, which perfectly fits the idea he would have built the memorial to Fang there. Indeed, Ghost earlier told S.T.A.L.K.E.R that they had left 2 decoders in a stash near the Scorcher. These decoders were crucial to their expedition, because they were designed to open the secret door at the sarcophagus, behind which they suspected lied the secrets of the zone. In Shadow of Chernobyl, we can find one of the decoders at the group's safe house in Pripyat, along with a manuscript written by S.T.A.L.K.E.R himself describing his first trip to the CNPP. Because this raid resulted in S.T.A.L.K.E.R being wounded and left at Doctor's place to recover, he actually never met with his buddies ever again, which means only himself could have put the manuscript in the Pripyat stash. Considering all of this, my theory is that S.T.A.L.K.E.R picked up the 2 decoders, went to the stash in Pripyat, and left his manuscript there. While he was doing so, he received Ghost's news about Fang's demise, prompting him to make a memorial for his friend. I guess he could not bring himself to use Fang's equipment, so he buried it here. Then he left one of the decoders, took the other, and finally made his way to the power plant, which is why he arrived after Clear Sky was already in place. Now that we have figured out when the ambush took place, 2 questions remain. Who killed Fang and why? Let's start with the second one. During the Clear Sky storyline, S.T.A.L.K.E.R actually chased Fang for a while, even if he never met him directly. However, after he raided S.T.A.L.K.E.'s group stash in the Agroprom, Lebedev told him the following.
S.T.A.L.K.E.R went to Lake Yantar. You are closest to that area. Try to intercept him there, and we'll take care of Fang and Ghost.
The leaders of the Clear Sky faction believed that these stalkers were about to cause a huge disaster by visiting the zone's center again. Thus, they were determined to stop them at all costs. It is very likely that Clear Sky was involved in the assassination of Fang, even if they did not commit the act themselves. It seems they hired a mercenary to do the job. But who could that be? Considering the description of the killer, the first idea that comes to mind is obviously S.T.A.L.K.E.R. He worked for Clear Sky, formerly used a Vintar rifle, and as the name implies had a scar on the face. Only he does not have azul eyes, and as we've previously established, the timeline does not allow for this. When Fang was killed, S.T.A.L.K.E.R should have been somewhere in Limansk or the hospital fighting the monolith. If not S.T.A.L.K.E.R, then who? I'm not going to beat around the bush anymore, I'll tell you, and then I'll explain the reasoning that led Tejas to this conclusion. According to Tejas, the most likely candidate for Fang's killer is Leshy. Leshy was the leader of a mercenary squad tasked with retrieving a certain artifact within the zone. They did find the object, but ended up being trapped inside a space anomaly. Another merc team led by Hog went to search for them and established their camp in the village, close to where Fang would later be killed. At this point, S.T.A.L.K.E.R was already on his way to Pripyat, and Clear Sky was trying to find a way to get to Limansk in order to catch up to him. S.T.A.L.K.E.R met with Hog, who explained the situation, and eventually S.T.A.L.K.E.R figured out a way to get Leshy and his men out of the space bubble. They were to exit the anomaly on the other side of the impassable river, allowing them to flank the renegades holding the bridge and opening the passage towards Limansk. The operation was carried out under the orders of Lebedev himself, and everything went according to the plan.
Thank you, S.T.A.L.K.E.R. They sure as hell owe you one.
Thank the Merc. If it weren't for him, we'd be stuck in that bubble trap forever.
Either way, I owe you.
I'll keep that in mind. Good luck to you.
That's a deal. Clear Sky Fighters. We have completed a brilliant operation. The bridge has been lowered, and the road to Limansk is now open. Advance squad. Move out into Limansk and find a safe path to the city.
Following this, Leshy and his remaining companions will head a bit further towards the Red Forest and set up camp. Lebedev also remains in the area with a few Clear Sky guards. The next step for S.T.A.L.K.E.R is to head to Limansk along with the Clear Sky scouting party, after which there is no coming back. At the entrance of the city, they meet two bandits, one of them wounded and the other asking for a medkit. The player can make a choice here, though for our story to carry on, we will consider that S.T.A.L.K.E.R hands over a medkit and allows them to live. In this case, the two bandits will head out of Limansk using the tunnel, meaning they are going to run straight into Lebedev. The theory goes that Lebedev would somehow have hired Leshy along with the two bandits to assassinate Ghost and Fang. We've seen how Leshy already helped Clear Sky and is respected by them, on top of being an experienced merc. Another interesting detail is the fact that Leshy is the only character in the entire game to call S.T.A.L.K.E.R by his actual nickname, rather than using Merc or something else. Perhaps this indicates that the two men actually knew and trusted each other. Last but not least, Leshy needed to deliver the artifact to Hog at the military warehouses, so he was already headed where Ghost and Fang were supposed to be found. All of these reasons should have been enough for Lebedev to choose him for the important task of eliminating Ghost and Fang. As for the two bandits, I'm not quite sure, but it could simply be that nobody else was available, and they now had a debt towards Clear Sky since they let them live. So, we've got a merc and two bandits. The trio of attackers described by Ghost is complete. Remember that Ghost said they looked like neutrals? Well, it turns out Leshy wears a stalker suit instead of a mercenary suit. Now, Leshy has a generic NPC face, so we can't be sure about the eyes and the scar, but considering his job, it is very much possible he'd fit the description. What would happen next is pretty simple. Leshy and his sidekicks headed to the warehouses. The artifact was delivered and the rest of the mercs left the place, but our three suspects stayed there, preparing the ambush. When Fang and Ghost came shortly after, the fight broke out. The two bandits died, but Leshy managed to snipe Fang before running away. And his story is actually not over. In Shadow of Chernobyl, we can find Leshy as a freedomer, guarding the entrance to their base. By the way, he is equipped with a special Sniper SGI, which implies he is a skilled marksman. On top of that, a Vintar rifle, the very same model used to kill Fang, can be found hidden in a building very close to Leshy's location. The idea here is the following. With the Clear Sky faction gone, Leshy had no further motive to pursue the killing. However, Ghost was still looking for him in order to avenge his friend. Therefore, Leshy joined Freedom to hide and stashed his Vintar BC in the vicinity. It is interesting to note that the rifle is found on the ground, but this seems to be a mistake, as the ammo for the gun is located in the attic right above it. Most likely the devs planned for the Vintar to also be in the attic, but due to a bug, the object falls through the floor and ends up inside the building. If that's really the case, It means the weapon was initially much better hidden than it first seems. Anyway, that's the new theory about Fang's killer. Of course, nothing is truly confirmed, but considering that all the pieces of the puzzle fall into place in such a nice way, I don't think we will ever see a better explanation. What do you think? Do you agree with Tejas and I that S.T.A.L.K.E.R could have killed Fang? Let us know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and good hunting, stalkers.